The Cherokee Native Americans have a wonderful tradition in terms of the transition of their young boys or their young youth transitioning into adulthood. And what they do is they take the youth. So the father would take his son, blindfolded out into the woods, and set the son down and instruct the son to stay there, not remove the blindfold for the entire night. And if the son survives the night, then he's a man. That's the transition. Furthermore, that when one does that transition from youth into adulthood, you do not go back to the village and tell your friends what took place. Each boy or each young youth has to do their own journey into adulthood. And so the father takes his boy and blindfolds him and begins to lead him out into the woods. And as they stumble, the boy becomes terrified. And he becomes even more terrified as the father sits him down blindfolded onto the stump, because he senses that night is beginning to envelop him. Can you imagine? Can you imagine the terror that could be going through this young individual? When one is blindfolded, and blind people will tell us this, that their sense of smell and their sense of hearing becomes very acute. And he began to hear the beasts scurrying and roaming around him. He even imagined other human beings that might harm him. And then he could feel and he could hear the wind going through the grass and the leaves and the earth itself. And he could feel it shaking the stump that he was sitting on. And there he sat, terrified through the whole night. His imagination would just run wild of every possible thing that could happen to him. And then by God's grace, the sun came up like it always does. And he could feel it. And he knew that he could take his blindfold off. And as he took it off, guess what he found out? His father had been sitting on a stump next to him the whole night through. We are never, ever alone. Even when we might forget it, God is with us, our friends are with us, our neighbors are with us, and we are blessed here at Trinity. Our parish community is with us. They're sitting on that stump right next to us. God bless.